Bennett, the Pyro Archon of Genshin Impact. Seriously, Hojoverse has to do something fast with the official Pyro Archon, otherwise Bennett's gonna stall the role for sure. And so this amazing character dates all the way back since the release of Genshin Impact. Obviously at the starts when everyone was getting to know the game, his popularity wasn't there yet, but it has soon risen to an insane level where literally every single team back then featured Bennett in the team because of how powerful this character is. Since he's a very rare character that basically has everything within a single kit, with the amazing attack buff that literally works for almost every single character in the team, alongside with the much needed healing that the team needs, and of course we have that C6 Bennett in which we would be discussing in today's video. Because as you have read from the title, it's gonna be a specific video regarding C6 Bennett, discussing the matters surrounding his talk about his C6 and why this is the time for you to not be scared about C6 Bennett any longer and be comfortable using him. So without further ado guys, let's just dive into the video. So first off, basically what does C6 Bennett do? What he does is that he basically gives you Pyro infusion for characters holding sword, claymore and polearm, alongside with a 15% pyro damage bonus. Do keep in mind though is that the pyro damage bonus applies to every single character, not just polearm, sword and claymore, so don't get mistaken from that. Now from the very start, C6 constellation of Bennett has always been kind of like a double-edged sword for him. There's that obvious good side of a 15% pyro damage bonus, but the pyro infusion has always been tough for many of us, and it is basically the reason why many of us within the community feels that C6 Bennett is really bad for your account. But this is to take into consideration from very earlier patches of Genshin Impact, because if we look all the way back from, you know, before patch 2.0 of Inazuma release, there has been very limited team comps that was able to best utilize C6 Bennett. Generally speaking, there are only quite a few teams that can make the most use of him. The main ones being like a D-Look team where you run like D-Look, Xingqiu, Bennett and Sucrose, because C6 Bennett is literally a god for D-Look. And if you have been playing Genshin Impact since the start, you know how everyone within the community kind of already praised D-Look to a god tier of a DPS back then. So alongside with a C6 Bennett, you're basically having an unbeatable team comp then. And there's also team comps such as Klee, where she gets a lot of benefits from that pyro damage bonus, and there are some other teams as well, but not as popular back then. So as you can see, it is very limited for you to be able to make use of C6 Bennett, and not to mention there are a lot of main DPS characters that get affected by the pyro infusion that he gives as well, messing up their team comps immensely, such as character like Keqing, Eula and Ayaka. If you have a C6 Bennett running these character teams, you're basically at a loss, and it's pretty much unusable when you have Bennett on the team, especially with a character such as Eula, in which her attack, who's very much dependent on physical damage, will be turned into pyro, and within her normal attack she's gonna be doing almost no damage. So as we can conclude, the harm that C6 Bennett have towards your account is basically outweighing the benefits. But basically I have always believed that there is a very easy fix toward a C6 Bennett on your account. It is so easy that it can be done with a click of a button, in that if you don't want a C6 Bennett, just basically go toward his constellation and press undo his constellation so you can turn back to C5. Oh wait, what? Hojoverse haven't added that? Are you kidding me? That function isn't still available in Genshin? Oh my god. It's one of the most important functions for us to cancel out a constellation, and Hojoverse have still given us. It is a very simple fix. Just add us an option to do that and we can just turn off and turn on a C6 and C5 Bennett at any time that we want. Why don't you just do that? It is so weird. So until Hojoverse actually give us that option, we basically have to deal with a C6 Bennett, right? But guys, I can say that the time have changed, and now there are actually a lot of C6 Bennett good sides that we can discuss. Now if you look into it, Bennett C6's biggest and only problem till now is the fact that he caused Pyro infusion, or in other words, if we were to take that one and only problem out, that leaves us with a C6 Bennett with full beneficial capability. And a way to solve this issue has always been, one is using the character builds that benefits off of Pyro infusion, or two is that we use character that will not get Pyro infused when using Bennett. And in this case, there are a lot of characters right now, like characters who are using a bow and catalyst, which are Ganyu, Yanfei and some others, or characters like Raiden Shogun, Xiao, Ayato and so on, who don't get affected by Pyro infusion because they cannot be overridden. So with character like this, you will never have to worry about C6ing your Bennett ever again. However, there's some more important things, is that basically time have changed. We've moved forward toward 2 years now since Genshin was released, and there have been a lot of new character released, especially after patch 3.5 now. The good thing about them is that most of the released character now won't get Pyro infused overridden, so you're pretty much comfortable with using Bennett on your team any of the time. Or in other words, it's now the time to finally be comfortable with C6ing your Bennett. Make the most use out of him, and more importantly, just get rid of that red icon appearing on your screen constantly. So now that you know the full benefits of C6 Bennett, I hope that all of your worry have been solved. Let's talk about some example teams that runs really well with C6 Bennett, or basically what's the best use of a Bennett C6. Now, even though that you know Bennett technically works in every single team because he is Bennett, but usually when it comes to a C6 Bennett, there will be teams that benefits from using him the most, and let's discuss them here so that you have an idea of how to best utilize him. Now the first overall team would be teams that runs alongside with Xiangling. C6 Bennett is the character that actually benefits Xianglings like a lot, since they complement each other just so well. Therefore, any teams you're building that run Xiangling, it's best to have your C6 Bennett on. For example, like our usual Raiden national team that of course runs Raiden Shogun, Xiangling, Bennett and Xingqiu. You can also use teams such as Ayato Persian team with Xiangling, Bennett and Nahida. I've been playing around with this team and it works absolutely perfect. And well, there's obviously also our usual D-Look team as well, with D-Look, Bennett, Xingqiu and Kazuha. But there's also a very good team as well, in which it features Bennett's Reverse Melt that runs with Xiangling, Kaya, Rosaria and Bennett. Now the reason why this team is pretty good is that this team specifically features Bennett to be the on-field driver to help with Pyro infusion, so that Kaya and Rosaria is going to be able to do consistent melt. The power of C6 Bennett is that it also benefits him immensely, because now he can be the on-field driver himself and deal damage alongside with helping out your team. There is also potentially Sunfire Jin like Bennett, Xingqiu, Raiden and Jin. Even though Raiden is mostly going to be on field dishing out damage, but on her downtime you can still have either Jin or Bennett on the field being the driver and dishing out Pyro infusion, and together with Raiden's E skill. Now you can cause overload, which is still the most annoying reaction in the game, but it's overload extra damage nonetheless, which can be quite high, so that's still beneficial overall. There are also Pyro infusion teams such as Pyro Kuching, Pyro Razor, and if you are a DS fan and love to have her as an on-field DPS, then of course she can be used that way. Though most of the time these kind of teams are just playing for fun, however their viability is still pretty good. And as I have always say, Genshin Impact is already an easy game enough, so basically guys, just have fun and use different team comps and have fun playing the game. So overall, with everything that we have discussed, should you use Bennett C6? Well, of course the answer really is dependent on you, but from what I can see, unless you're a very new player to the game with lower AR and haven't got access to a wide variety of characters to play with, you can pause on C6 Bennett till the later part of the game where more characters are unlocked and available for you to build. But for the majority, I just recommend C6 because the benefit just tremendously outweigh the cons. Even if you're worrying about your Eula, Keqing, Ayaka having Pyro infusion messed up, do keep in mind guys is that at this point in time, since there are just so many characters already, each of these characters already have a specific team comps to run with that doesn't require Bennett, such as Keqing aggravates, freeze Ayaka, and for Eula coming up, it's gonna be our lovely Mika. So guys, you're pretty much set to go on your C6 Bennett and have nothing to worry. Now guys, discussing about Mika, I do have a very specific video talking about Mika's future potential, and we do find that he is very good. So if you're interested in Mika and would love to hear more information about him regarding different teams that we can build, be sure to check out this video on screen here for more information. So I hope that this video have been helpful and enjoyable for you. If you have any question, leave it down in the comment section and I will get you there. If you're new to the channel guys, be sure to subscribe. I'm seeing that there are so many of us watching my lovely video and yet 90% of us are still not subscribed to my channel. So if you enjoyed the video guys, just click on the subscribe button as it's a free way to support me make amazing Genshin Impact content for you. Again, I really appreciate you guys sticking with me till this part of the video, and with that I wish you a super day and I will catch you on my next video.